What's up, everyone? Today we have a Exmark, and it is apparently when you pull the pull cord, it's locked up. So the owner pulled it off and said the pull cord's fine, and put that towel on it and brought it to me and said, "Can you fix it by the later today?" That was about 30 minutes ago. Give it a look. It's also leaking from the carburetor, so we're going to turn on the ultrasonic cleaner, get it warmed up. But all that's going to be secondary. The last time I've heard locked up in this engine type means a new motor, and that's definitely not a later today project. That is going to be order and maybe take a couple weeks. I have not looked at anything yet, so you and I will see that together. Let's first look at the oil, because it's usually a dead giveaway if it's locked up, if there's nothing in it, or if it's clean. There is oil in there. A little hard to tell, but there is oil in there. Let's see what's up. So I think I know what happened. I was a little confused what I was looking at. So in order for me to put this up on here, I have to tip it to its back, put the wheels up higher. So originally what I thought was the oil had kind of moved and saturated the stick, and I was reading a high level. Then I put you down, looked at it again because I was still wondering if I was catching something, but it's literally showing you put like 3 quarts of oil in there, and this takes like a little over like 600 milliliters or something like that. Not that much. So yeah, then I took a smell, and while this isn't smell-o-vision quite yet, it smells like gas. So we have a problem there. I don't suspect it's an engine locking up problem. I think it's a locking up issue of a hydro lock. Not right now. There we go. Yeah, not right now. So I think we are going to look at that carb. So what ends up happening is this. Let's give you a better look. And what I mean by a better look, it's easier for me to put you up here. Anyway, so you see how the carb and the engine are kind of level? Well, when the needle and seat don't play well together, gas is going to come up because it's a gravity-fed system. Now, gas coming up, and it needs to go one of two directions. Out the intake or out the air filter, or goes inside of the engine. And if your intake valve is closed, I mean, majority of it's not going to matter. It's just going to pool up, throughout there and leak eventually. But if your intake valve is open, all of that fuel that's in your tank has nowhere else to go except for into the engine. And eventually it makes its way past the rings and overfills the case. So I think that's what's happening. Dead giveaway is it smelled like gasoline when I took out the oil, when I smelled the oil. So we are definitely in need of some carb work. So I'm going to get a 10 millimeter. We'll take off this whole piece. It's just 2 screws or 2 nuts. I think I do have to remove or at least loosen this support bar. As you can tell, it's just all kinds of amazing in here. The fuel looks like it's off, so that's good. He did say it was leaking, so I'm sure that's why he turned it off. But I'm going to see if I can just take this off without removing the bar, but I don't think I can. Wanting to spare you some of the noise, I took this off, and as soon as I took this 10 millimeter out, this whole thing kind of moved a little bit, and then all kinds of oil and fuel just puked out. Just puked. Oh, I also need to take this off too. But yeah, we definitely have a carb problem, and the reason why it wasn't turning is it was hydro locked. I think when I first tried turning it, I turned it backwards, so a lot of that oil kind of just went through and back into the intake. But Yeah, I'm gonna take this off real quick and then we can get to work. Yeah. Definitely a lot of carb problems. This is a pretty big tank too. It's like at least a gallon, maybe a gallon and a half. This gasket isn't very healthy. I mean, when you've been shoved outside and soaked in the gas, probably isn't going to be very healthy. Try not to rip it entirely. There we go. The fuel is shut off, so we don't have to worry too much about anything else. Not that we didn't just spill like, you know, half a quart of oil and gas anyway. Take off this spring. Of course, it's going to require some needle nose because it's cold outside and my hands are cold hand. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. I literally have like 3 more threads and I can't get past the support. So let's put that back. There's a 2 1/2-inch nuts and bolts on this side of the machine, and then I'm just going to take one off and just kind of move it out of the way. That way we can just get to work. Sorry for the bar in your face, but that's just where it has to sit. Come on, so I don't drain all the carburetor fuel out of it. That's pretty much going to be all the fuel. There's always a little spring. There we go. So, I'm going to get that fuel cleaned up so we're not just sitting here inhaling gasoline fumes all day long, and we will get to work with the carb. Let's take a look and see what it looks like in here. Oh. Yep, that's a mixture of oil. So we are heading down the correct path. Now, I don't suspect there's going to be a whole lot of cleaning needed for this, except for the needle and seat to make sure that it is playing nicely. But, as we can tell, usually fuel doesn't look like coffee. At least my fuel doesn't. I don't know about yours. If yours does, I'd recommend not using it. We need to take that out. Of course, that's being difficult. I'm gonna get some better tools for this. So this pin's being a real pain. I have a tiny little punch here. See if we can't just punch it out. You have to be careful because you could break these little arms. Nope, not quite there yet. Good thing it's a long punch. I also can't see if I'm tapping the pin or not. There it goes. Sometimes there's like these little dents on there, so it kind of keeps it in place like a set, but that one doesn't look like it has anything like that. Nothing screaming right now dirty, but just in case, I'm going to put that in the carb cleaner, including... No, I'm not going to do the needle. I'm going to do the needle separately. So we do, however, want to save this gas. It's pretty much garbage to begin with, but let's try to get it off in mostly one piece so we know what size we have to find. I mean, yeah, you could just check it on the carb, but while it's in the cleaner, I can take a look for one. Yeah. We didn't come in here for a run issue, so we shouldn't really do too much with these jets, but we're already in this that far. Why not just continue? Of course, it's one of those. Okay, I didn't want to mar anything on the inside there, and this is pretty much a perfect fit. There we go. A little bit too perfect. I was kind of hitting the threads on the carb. Not something I want to go down the road of. The rest is non-adjustable except for the idle speed, but don't really care. That's just a screw. Okay, I'm gonna go get it put in there. I actually have the gasket, so I just made one out of gasket paper. In a pinch, if you use stuff like a cereal box or just thinner cardboard that's a little bit more compressed, it's pretty much the same thing, but it's not going to look as nice. It's pretty much the main difference. But I made a new gasket, and now let's get back to the carb. Got everything done and taken care of. I cleaned the needle up real nice, so let's put in the emulsion tube. It goes in this way. One side is a lot smaller. There we go. Okay, and then the jet should firmly clamp the emulsion tube into its more permanent location. Perfect. Yep. Okay. Now the part that really is probably the cause of all of this problem, needle and seat. If this is bad, I do have a working carb that came off a non-working engine. We could potentially switch. I'd really not like to do that though. Let's look at everything looks pristine in there though. I have a feeling that the pin was a lot of this problem. Or maybe something got dirty. These are just little brushes that come with like carb cleaning kits. Let's get one that's a little bit less girthy. There we go. Let's put the pin in now and see if it goes in smoothly. No, not really. Of course, we did mar it up fairly decently. I'm gonna just take a quick file and just get that cleaned up real quick. Got it in. I want to see. I mean, the float itself moves just fine. so I don't think the pin is really holding that up. I'm gonna blow in this side. With the float like this, I should not hear any air. When I flip it over, I should hear air. Nope. Yeah, I was giving it a pretty good little blast of air and nothing came out. So I think we're going to put it back on the machine. I'm going to get the bowl on. That's easy enough. And then I'm not going to put the cover on. I'm going to turn the fuel on and see if it starts to leak at all. It's been about 10 minutes or so, and I left the carb not touching the actual intake, and so far I don't see anything dripping. Fuel is on. In addition to that, it was completely dry in there, so I added quarter of a gallon or something like that. And yeah, everything appears to be working good now. So I'm going to put all the stuff back on. I already have the linkages and some of the springs and whatnot. But I'm going to put the air filter cover, all that stuff back on, including the recoil, which is just 4 screws and it goes right on. And then at that point, I think we will, the very last and very important part of this is we need to give it an oil change. So I'm going to get all that done and then we'll bring you back for the oil change. Before we do the oil though, I put a bunch of towels down and I took the plug out and a little fuel already came out. But I'm going to set it down and then pull on the pull cord real gentle like and try to evacuate a lot of that fuel / oil, because if we try to pull just after changing the oil, there's going to be whatever's in there and it's going to hydrolock or it's not going to fix the problem. So we need to evacuate the cylinder and then we can go ahead and do the oil change. That should be enough. Now it's time to do the oil change. We'll put the plug back in too. Oh, and by the way, the plug was just doused. In fact, it's even bridged over just in fuel and oil. So we'll put in a new plug as well. To avoid you having to watch me do trivial work, this is what I did. I actually took it outside to clean it because there's fuel coming out of the muffler. Muffler fuel doesn't really bother me. However, fuel that was spilled out of the muffler onto the deck does bother me. So, yeah. Next, I filled it with good bad oil. It was just old. After I drained it, I got 2 liters of oil gas mix. Filled it with the good bad oil. Drained it again. Now this has good oil in there. Put a new filter on there. So we should be good. There's probably still fuel left in the combustion chamber, so I'm not going to put choke. I'm going to let it sit outside for a couple minutes, let that burn all that stuff off. There's a lot of crap in the muffler, a lot of junk everywhere. It just needs to be burned off. But other than that, we are set. So if you have a pull cord that is stuck, it very well might not be an engine problem per se. It could just be a carb problem. Fills the cylinder, gets hydrolocked, you can't pull it, and we're in this predicament. I've had people actually give me recoils just to install. Don't know why they couldn't, because they took it off, but whatever. And it's not that problem. If you take it off and it works fine, don't even bother. But other than that, here we go. If you like what you see, keep watching, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, SmallEngine101. If you like what you see, put a thumbs up, that helps me a lot. I'll catch you on the next one. Have a good day.